everyone. Yes, well, my name is Mark Turpin, and I'm here to interview today Neliswa Fente, who is one of South Africa's Mandela Washington Fellows, and was selected from a large number of people to go to the United States this year as part of the Mandela Washington Fellowship, which comes under the broad umbrella, I think, of the Young Africa Leaders Initiative. Could you maybe just tell us a little bit about that,
Yes.
Neliswa?
Thanks, Mark. So the Mandela Washington Fellowship is a flagship program of President Barack Obama, where he chooses young Africans, 500 from across the continent, who have shown in their work that they do that they are leaders, and brings them to the United States in different schools to go into different tracks of either business, public management, or civil society.
Very good. So you went to the United States. This was your first time there, I think.
Yeah, this was the first time that I had ever been away from home for more than 2 weeks.
Wow.
So it was really an amazing experience.
So in June, July, and into August this year, you were in the United States, and you were placed at the business school in Reno, Nevada?
Yes.
How was that?
Mark, when I got my email to say that I was in, I was really, really excited. And then I learned that I was going to go to Reno. When I learned that I was going to go to Reno, I told everyone was like, that's a desert. Why would you go there? So I went to Reno, and it was really surprisingly pleasant for me. I didn't expect the people to be the way that they were. Everybody was like, you're going to the West Coast, there's going to be a lot of people that look at you, and you're going to be looking really different, and you're going to have a little bit of a hard time. But it was actually the opposite. People were open, people were kind, and there was a really great entrepreneurial ecosystem that was happening in Reno, which was really exciting.
Okay, now you were placed at the business school in the university, I think.
Yes.
What were they teaching you, or what were they trying to tell you?
So the program was broken down that we go to class and we learn about different entrepreneurial new models, new business models. We were learning about the legislative of the United States. We learned about people who have built new businesses. We met with really interesting people, we met with investors, all the important people that had started business in the United States, well, in Reno in particular, we got to meet, which was really exciting. And then after we'd be in class, in the mornings, we'd then go out and see what was happening in Reno, see what we can learn, see what we can bring back home.
So you visited real businesses in the city?
Yes, definitely we did. We went to see the Tesla factories. It was a proud moment for us, knowing that Alan's from South Africa, and just different entrepreneurial hubs, business hubs, and so forth. So it was good.
What would you take out of that learning experience? If there's one thing that you would really like to bring back, is there one thing that really struck you?
Yeah, I think there were a couple of things, but if there was one big thing for me, Mark, it would be about failure. So in the United States, a lot of business people were teaching us a lot about failing forward. People are not scared about failure. We would sit in class and be like, really? Is everyone celebrating the fact that they failed 3 businesses? But that was the one big thing that I thought was very encouraging for us to try things and to have resilience.
So there is a culture that making mistakes is okay.
It's okay, and everybody does it, and if you don't do it, it means that you're actually not trying.
At least try something.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, that's really interesting and could be really valuable for us to think about in South Africa, I think.
Absolutely. I think the idea of failing, we don't even talk about it. It's such a shame. Even if you think about the way that when I was at school, when we write exams, you put your hand over your work and you write like that, So the idea of saying, hey, listen, I'm trying something, and if it doesn't work, I'll learn the lesson in that, and then I'll try. It was a very positive message for us.
Because this is really how children learn when they're at their youngest and learning at a faster rate than at any other time. They learn by trying things out, and if the blocks fall off, then it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And that was one of the big things for a lot of us. We were saying, okay, cool. The Americans are making us celebrate failure and telling us that failure is good. we're going to go home and we're going to try and tell people that, hey, listen, I failed 5 businesses or 3 businesses. Is anyone going to find that attractive? You know, so I guess, yeah, so this is what we bring back home to say, let's try things. And if it fails, as long as you know the lesson and you've learned to listen.
Okay, so linking it very much back to learning is important.
Yeah, very important.
That's exciting.
It's very
And then, so you spent time at the business school and then you went back to Washington?
Yes.
And what happened back in Washington?
Oh my gosh. So this was the big thing for most of the Mandela Washington Fellows, is that we were really excited that we're going to Washington because we were having our presidential summit where we got to meet President Barack Obama.
Oh, okay.
So that was very exciting. And most importantly as well was that we're going to meet all the other young African leaders from across the continent. So for the first time, you were sitting in a room and there's young people from all across the continent. And you're just like, wow.
He does a kind of village hall setup meeting?
Yeah.
How did it work?
He calls it a town hall. So, he comes and he interacts with us. So do we have questions for him? Do we want him is there anything that we'd like to know? And so he does it in that town hall style where we really got to understand him a little bit and why he's doing such a program, because a lot of people are skeptical saying, why is America doing this,
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, in Africa, like something like this hasn't been done before, where young Africans get to interact and learn to work together. So that's why he's doing it. And he wants us to be friends with the US, because one day we're going to be, and they might need help from the young African leaders. So, that was very interesting. I mean, he's wonderful. He was amazing. He just believed in us so much, I guess we do have different people who believe in us, but for the first world president to say, guys, I believe you guys can do it, it's just so confirming for us. Say, okay, cool, whatever it is we're doing, we're on the right track. And that's why we're here. So it was really amazing.
And how long did he give you?
He was there for I think 2.5 hours or something like this. Yeah, so which was pretty good. 500 people, I mean, we had so many questions, But yeah, it was really good.
Wow,
it was good.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And so if you think about the whole American experience and seeing American society and culture and the way people live and so on, what should we take from that, do you think? Is there anything there that we can learn from or that was fascinating for you?
Okay, one thing that was fascinating for me was that people sometimes, I guess it wasn't that positive, but we'd greet people and interact with them and be like, hey, hello, and someone would say, hey, how, by the time you ask how they are, they're gone, they're they've moved on, so it almost felt like people didn't have that natural connection, which made me think about how important it is to have relationships. And here at home, that's something that we really have.
So you felt that the greetings were a bit superficial sometimes?
A little bit superficial, yeah. But it also made me think about how good we do it here at home. And that's something that we shouldn't lose in no matter what, in the kind of relationships that we have with each other, that they were more authentic, If there was something I could learn was just the hard-working nature of Americans. I think they work hard because in America, when you work hard, you can see the results. That's what I saw. People who work hard, it's automatic that if you work hard, you will gain the results that you want. Because
it's a very entrepreneurial society.
Entrepreneurial and very conducive environment for when you work hard, it equals to the thing that you want. And there's not a lot of stumbling blocks. We've got other things that we need to deal with in our countries when we do work hard, but then there's this. We do work hard and then there's, so it felt like in America, hard work equaled to great results, which is something that we can learn from and just create those environments where we can, that are cohesive for growth. And Americans have done them very well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so Neliswa, what does it all mean for you? How do you grow from this experience?
Yeah.
What do you take forward in your life from having been the Mandela Washington Fellow?
So, Mark, that's a very good question, and it's a question that I keep exploring for myself. I'm still in the process of trying to make meaning of everything. But I think one of the big things for me is that the stuff is serious, like when we get these kind of opportunities to go and to learn and to come back and to be the Mandela Washington Fellowship, we should take it seriously. And I'm taking really seriously that we've got great responsibility with the opportunity that has been given to us,
Wow.
One of the things for me as well was just thinking about what big difference I can make, and for myself first, and then I can be able to make a difference in other people's lives. I think as young people in South Africa in particular, we always, I can do this for other, but if you haven't put yourself first in a way, you can't be able to help others. The analogy of, like, when you're in the plane, they say put your mask on your face first, and then you can be able to help other
Yes,
people.
okay.
Yeah,
When the plane's coming down.
So I'm just like, if I can, get myself more educated, ensure that I understand how the world works, I'll be able to help more people than I would when I'm trying to do it now, with the little bit that I have.
Okay, now this program is focused very much on young professional people.
Mm-hmm.
We do some work with young professionals here in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
And if you have a message for young professional people going out into the world, navigating their way into the workplace, what would that message be, speaking to the people out there?
The message to the young people, the young professionals.
Yeah.
Sure, that's a good question. I think one would be to trust yourselves, trust in your natural talents, your natural strengths that you have, but also trust in the wisdom of people that are older than you, older generation. I think as this young millennials and these young people, we sometimes have this energy of going, thinking that we do know everything. And yes, we do know some things, and that's good, but it's also good to incorporate that with wisdom of people who've lived longer than you, and then from that learning, you'd be able to be a much better person. So trust yourself, and also allow your space, the space to learn from other people that are
Because there is we've spoken to MBA students here in the business school, and there is some skepticism out there about this young professional generation. They say, well, they don't have any staying power, they get bored quickly, they're just out for self-gratification.
Yeah.
And so what would the message then be to the older generation who are going to welcome, and we need these young professionals in the workplace. That's all we have going forward. So what should the message be to the established professional people in companies, in organizations, about how they should think maybe in new ways about this new generation coming through?
I think it must be very hard for the older generation that every time there's a topic about generational differences, it's about accepting the younger people. It must be hard, So I think I read something about people living longer, and if people can think about it in that perspective, that, okay, I'm here, these young people are here, we're going to all be here for a long time. How do we then work together? So I think the way in which people should work should be a dual way of working.
Okay.
So even if, like, let's say you have an older person coaching a younger person, should be dual coaching.
It's a two-way process.
It's a two-way process. Understanding how these young people operate in their world, but also being open enough to say, okay, this is how I would like to see. So make it very open and very two-way. I think that is the best way that people can be able to collaborate and have conducive working spaces with each other.
I like the idea of a two-way mentoring relationship almost, in which the older professional is going to learn from the younger as well as the other way around.
Exactly, because I think the old way is that I'm older and therefore I tell you what to do. But these days we see, like, this young boy on the news the other day, who's the youngest millionaire in South Africa. He's only 23 years old, and you just see so many examples of young people.
What was the
trading? So he went into the stock trading, and He's amazing young 23-year-old, and now he's got this like really big company that's hiring like over hundreds of people. But as a young guy who self-taught himself, all these things. His story is that his parents gave him tuition fee, and somehow he used it all to trade, something like this, which is not a good idea. But at the end of the day, he was able to teach himself something. And this is the thing with this generation, is that information is not held at one person. People can learn on the net. You were telling me about your son, Mark, who's teaching himself Mandarin. I think it's amazing. So, I think, be open to a dual way of teaching and learning, and you should be okay.
Wow, well, that's really exciting. People trying things.
Yes.
So I've been speaking with Neliswa Fente, who's one of this year's Mandela Washington Fellows, just back from the United States, and a lot to say and a lot to contribute, particularly on the theme of how young professionals navigate their way going forward here in Johannesburg. So thanks very much, Neliswa.
Thank you, Mark.
And we hope we'll engage with you again before too long.
Thank you.